sorry about that. So I'm only allowed 15 minutes at a time, so I had to make a second part for this. So where we left off was talking about how the stack of magazines, it's 2 and 11/40 inches too much to fit inside the box that they have. So that was our answer for E1. So now we're going to look at E2. So for E2, a stack of magazines is 4 2/5 inches high, and each magazine is 2/5 inches thick. How many magazines are in the stack? So we're taking the total stack of the magazines and we're finding out how many groups of the 2/5 go in there. So we are taking and dividing. So, oops. We have 4 2/5 divided by 2/5 equals x. So 5 times 4 is 20, plus 2 is 22 fifths, times, we flip our fraction because same times flip. So 5 over 2, and the 5's can cancel, so we end up with 1 for each of them. Divide 2 and 22 by 2, we end up with 11. So 11 times 1 is 11. 1 times 1 is 1. So there are 11 magazines. So there are 11 magazines making up that stack of 4 that is 4 2/5 tall. Okay? All right, now the next thing we're looking at here. So we dealt with a lot of operations there. So we had adding, we had subtracting, we had multiplying, we had dividing. We looked at kind of everything. So operations is your keyword for this lesson. Operations. Okay. For 16.4, baking cookies. Mai, Kieran, and Claire are baking cookies together. They need 3 1/4 cups of flour and 1 1/3 cups of butter to make a batch of cookies. They each brought the ingredients they had at home. Mai brought 2 cups of flour and 1/4 cup of butter. Kieran bought 1 cup of flour and 1 1/2 cups of butter, a half cup of butter. Claire brought 1 1/4 cups of flour and 3/4 cup of butter. If the students have plenty of other ingredients they need, sugar, salt, baking soda, etc., how many whole batches of cookies can they make? Well, the first thing we need to take and figure out in this is how much total did they bring of each of these 2 ingredients? How much flour did they have total? How much butter did they have total? So, I'm going to do it on the whiteboard. We had 2 cups of flour plus 1 cup of flour plus 1 1/4 cups of flour. So 2 plus 1 is 3, plus another 1 is 4. So we had 4 1/4 cups of flour. That's how much flour we had, was 4 1/4 cups. Now for the butter, we had 1/4 cup of butter plus a half cup of butter plus 3/4 cups of butter. Now, at first glance, you might be saying, oh, we have to take and convert the 1/2 into terms of fourths. We don't actually have to, because 1/4 plus 3/4 gives us a whole. So this is just 1 1/2 cups of butter. So we know how much flour we have. We know how much butter we have. We also know how much we need to make a single batch. So we need 3/4 cup for flour, and we need 1/3 cup for the butter. So we're going to take and divide these. So we're going to find out how many groups of 3/4 can go into 1 1/4. We're going to find out how many groups of 1/3 can go into 1 1/2. So 4 1/4, 4 times 4 is 16, plus 1 is 17. So we've got 17/4 divided by 3/4. And we have, 1 1/2. So 1 times 2 is 2, plus 1 is 3. 3/2 divided by 1/3. So same times flip. 17/4 stays the same, times 4 over 3. The 4's can cancel. They both become 1. So we have 17 times 1, which is 17, over 1 times 3, which is 3. So 3 can go into 17 5 times because 3 times 5 is 15. So this is 5 and then 2/3. So 5 and 2/3 batches based on just the amount of flour we have. Now we go back to the butter. So 3/2 divided by 1/3, same times flip. So 3/2 times 3/1. Nothing can cancel here. So 3 times 3 is 9. And 2 times 1 is 2. So we have 9/2. 2 can go into 9 4 times because 4 times 2 is 8. And we have 1 left over. So we have 4.5 batches based on the butter. So it wants to know how many whole batches. So even though with the flour they could make 5 and 2/3 batches, because of the amount of butter they have, they can only make 4.5 batches, even though they'd still have extra flour left over. But we only want to know whole batches, so it's 4 whole batches because that's the whole number on it. So even though they have enough to do 4.5 batches, they only want to know the number of whole batches they can make. So it's 4 whole batches. So sometimes you have to be careful about what it's looking for, whether it wants whole batches or how many total batches. Looking at that for what they're asking. So be careful with those real world problems. All right, remember your keyword for this lesson is operations. I hope you guys have a great day. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. I'm always available to help. Bye, guys.